Hi, if you're new here, my name is Kendall. I am a 33-year-old stay-at-home mom to three beautiful little girls. I'm originally from Oceanside, California, and I now live in Tennessee. This is my home. I love it here, but growing up in California, oh my goodness, I loved the food and the beach and surfing. It was such a wonderful time and a wonderful place to grow up so many years ago. I am definitely more active on my Instagram page, but I thought I would take some time to pour more into my YouTube because the message that I'm sharing is so powerful, it is so healing, and it's also a great way for me just to spread this word and to get out how changing our diets, how removing ultra processed food can change your life. Because by removing ultra processed food and all sweet tastes and eating a carnivore way, focusing on meat, seafood, eggs, and butter has given me my life back. So I'm just going to give a quick, brief little backstory about me, my eating disorder, and how I found a carnivore diet. So I'm going to try to go through this pretty quick. So hang with me. I'm not going to be editing any of this. So please have some patience and grace with me. So growing up, I grew up with a military father, and we were raised on low-fat foods. Everyone was afraid of fat, so it was skim milk, margarine, and egg whites. You know, we had lean chicken breast. There was no fat ever on any of our meat. You know, we'd always cut it away. It was scary. No one ever ate fat during that time. And as a child and as a teenager, I was always hungry. I remember hiding food as a young child. I remember eating the wrappers off of cupcakes that my mom would make, and just feeling so overwhelmed by the need for sugar. So as I went through puberty, I did lose some weight because I was a chubby child. I was the chubby one out of all of my sisters. And once I lost that weight, I definitely got more attention from friends and from the high school boys. So I thought, well, if I'm getting this attention now, how much more will I get if I lose more weight? So thus being born an eating disorder. I was eating about 1 apple a day or 1 cup of cottage cheese a day while playing water polo and surfing and hanging out with my friends. Was literally starving. It was so hard to just eat such a small amount and have the energy I needed to do well in school and also in sports. So then that turned into binging. I was so nutrient deficient. It was anything I could get my hands on, and that dopamine hit off of ultra processed food and sugar was something I really craved. So seeing that I could binge and then I would become so sick from eating 10,000 calories in one sitting, I began to purge. So bulimia was my eating disorder, and it was something that I had struggled with for most of my adult life. Now, there were times that I did not feel like it was controlling me fully. I felt like I had some control over it, but then there were other times that this big, ugly monster was absolutely sucking the life out of me. It was taking me away from God. It was taking me away from my family. It was like I had a split personality. Like, this part of my brain was eating disorder, and this part of my brain was Kendall, and they were fighting all the time. So as I got older, I struggled with this, and like I said, sometimes it was, not there, and then other times it was just taking over my life. But for the majority of my adult life, I have struggled with being so addicted to sugar and ultra-processed foods and never being able to moderate one taste, and I am in the carb ditch, drowning in that eating disorder and cravings and hypoglycemia. I had horrible hypoglycemia. Couldn't go more than 2 hours without a snack. My mom and I used to joke around about how we had to put granola bars and crackers in our purse because we'd feel dizzy and lightheaded. My sugar would drop to 40. I did at one point wear a CGM, and seeing those numbers was insane to see how my blood sugar would spike and then drop, and the feelings of nausea and dizziness and just feeling awful. That was so terrible to have to live with that and an eating disorder. So I met my husband and we got married, and my eating disorder was, wasn't too bad during that time. I kind of just fell into my cravings, and I was not really purging. I was just binging all the time. Gained a lot of weight. I had my first daughter and did not lose any of the weight after her. Then gained another 30 pounds with my second daughter, was breastfeeding up all night, and I was not purging during that time, but I was binging all the time. I was using food as an emotional comfort. I was using food as a warm hug, eating all the time. I mean, I was calling bakeries, trying to figure out if I could just buy icing. It was a true addiction. It was taking over my life. And I found keto, started doing some research into keto, and I did dirty keto, did all the Atkins products, all the bars and shakes, and I just felt better from eating all the processed junk and hiding food around my house and keeping this dark secret. I felt so much better eating a keto way, and it gradually turned into more of a healthy keto. But when I first started, it was all the dirty keto stuff. And I eventually lost 77 pounds in 9 months, which was so exciting. I definitely was in ketosis. I was feeling really good, but I was restricting myself. I was back down to eating about 1,200 calories because I had stalled with my weight loss. And so my diet brain always goes back to restrict, restrict, restrict. So once I started restricting, that eating disorder behavior jumped back up. Going from eating 1,200 calories and being nutrient deficient to then being around sugar and ultra processed food, it was back to binging and purging again. So I became pregnant with my third daughter, and I had her. It was the healthiest pregnancy I ever had. I was not purging during that time. I was eating keto-ish. I really didn't gain that much weight. I felt good. Once I had her, I was breastfeeding, and I kind of was leaning on food again as emotional support, going through some postpartum issues and things like that. Once I was done breastfeeding her around 15 months, and I started getting back into more of a strict keto way of eating again. And I just was struggling so much with sugar cravings because I would be strict healthy keto, 1,500 calories a day during the week, and on the weekends I would blow it. Pizza, cake, ice cream, anything I could get my hands on, finding any excuse I could to stop by a bakery or crumble cookie or go into Walmart and buy cookies. Out of control again. But during the week, it looked okay. And let alone, this is something that I was not sharing or open or honest with my husband, with my family about. No one had any idea how deep in a sugar addiction I was and how this eating disorder was taking over my life. No one knew that. Now, not last Christmas, but the Christmas before, I finally told my husband, hey, Patrick, I have an eating disorder and I am completely and fully addicted to sugar. It is all I can think about. It is all that I want. I plan everything, my day around eating sugar. If I get my girls up at a certain time, all I think about is sugar. I mean, I'm with them, I'm present, I'm taking care of my kids, helping my husband with our family business, but I'm not as present as I need to be and as I want to be because I'm thinking about sugar. So I was desperate, looking for what can I do besides keto? There's got to be something that can help me get through these cravings. I've been doing keto for such a long time, and I found Steak and Butter Gal on Instagram. And when I saw her eating sticks of butter, it blew my mind. I thought, that is insane. That is crazy. How can someone live and thrive and look as good as she does eating sticks of butter and steak? That goes against everything I've ever been taught. I mean, it just sounds scary when people say that because fat has been demonized, because meat has been demonized. But anyways, I was really intrigued. And so I watched her. I did a ton of research, listened to all of the incredible carnivore doctors out there. And let me tell you, I was literally shaking. I was so scared to try it, but I was so desperate and I was so sick of making myself purge and hiding food from everyone in my house and telling my kids, no, we do not need to be eating ultra processed food, but yet secretly mommy is hiding it all over the house so that when you guys go down for quiet time, I can then eat about 10,000 calories and be so sick. So I started carnivore. Oh my gosh, it has been the biggest blessing of my life. I thank God every day that He blessed me with this way of eating because it has given me my life back. By cutting out all sugar, all ultra processed food, and all sweet tastes, I have gained food freedom again. I no longer have an eating disorder. I'll always have an eating disorder, but it's in remission. It is in a box that I am controlling. It's way back here, and I now control what goes in my mouth. I control what I eat. The food is no longer controlling me. Now, I did start out eating I mean, as much as I wanted, which I totally recommend if you're starting a carnivore diet, to really lean into those nutrients. And also, eating a carnivore diet, it can be really easy to undereat. So for me, I mean, the food is so satiating. It's so nutrient dense. So I really feel like it's important to lean into that and eat until you are truly full. And if you're having cravings, then eat more carnivore foods. Have a pat of butter, have some salt on your tongue. These are all things that I did that really helped me get through that detox, because let me tell you, that detox was hellacious. I mean, my migraines, I had cravings, I wasn't sleeping well, I had explosive diarrhea for like, I know that's TMI, for the first 2 weeks. It was really rough. But once I got through that, you guys, it was like someone had taken the mask off. Like someone had taken the foggy glasses off of my face and I could see again. It was so incredible. I had so much energy. My sleep was phenomenal. Cravings, I wasn't experiencing any of that. I could think clearly. I could focus on my children and not be thinking about food when I was with them. I could be the best mother that I can possibly be. I was the best example. I wanted to exercise. I loved my body instead of hating my body. And such horrible negative self-loathing and self-talk. I was proud of my body and what it had accomplished and how much change. Even in the first 6 months, you guys, I lost 30 pounds and 4.5 inches off of my waist. I'd never had a body like that. Never. I had curves and I felt so good. I was so confident. Food is so healing. Meat will always be my medicine. Now, I ate a carnivore way, no cheats, nothing, no sweet taste, and removing the sweet taste is the biggest tip I can give you. If you struggle with sugar cravings, get rid of the sweet taste. I mean, like sweet tasting electrolytes, sweet tasting toothpaste, no sugar-free gum, none of that stuff. And removing that just really, really did it for me. It took me over the edge and I was like superhuman. I felt like Wonder Woman. That's the only way I can describe it. My husband could tell my depression had gone away, my anxiety had gone away, my hypoglycemia, which was rough. Like the first week or so, 2 weeks, I really struggled with hypoglycemia and I was having to eat a lot of dairy. But once I got my blood sugar stabilized, I didn't have any of those horrible hypoglycemic feelings. I could actually, go more than 2 hours without eating, which was so huge. And I was eating about 2,000 to 2,400 calories for the first 2 weeks. And then right around 2,000 is where I feel my best calories. I tend to eat like probably 60 to 70% of my calories from fat. I always tend to lean more toward, I guess you could say, a higher protein carnivore way. I do feel great eating a high fat carnivore way, but I just naturally tend to eat more of a higher protein carnivore way. I just can't stop talking about this way of eating because I'm so passionate about it. My kids eat a meat-based way. They do have fruit and veggies when they want veggies, but they love meat. I mean, we're all about the meat. They love a good, fatty, rare ribeye. I'm so proud of them. They are thriving. They are so healthy. No more snacking, no more irritability. They're calm. They're just wonderful, beautiful children, and they are just living their best life. They have the most beautiful, gorgeous hair. Their skin is flawless. My toddler had horrible eczema. Once I switched her over to a meat-based way of eating, her eczema has gotten so much better, and she will have a flare-up if she has ultra-processed food. It's funny how much food and our nutrition and what we eat has to do with our skin, and just every aspect of your body. What you eat, that is what your body, that's just everything. It's everything. It's so, so incredible how much healing I have had just by changing my diet. I will be a carnivore for life. I will share this with you. I did, over the holidays, Christmas 2024, think it was a good idea to try to moderate. I was triggered. I'm just going to call myself out. I was being lazy. I was not prepared carnivore wise. I didn't have carnivore foods ready. I was getting lazy. I was just enjoying too much of the baking and the cooking and taste testing. And let me tell you, right back in the depths of my eating disorder, like that. Hypoglycemia was back, migraines were back, I was crying all the time. I was so miserable, depressed, anxious, but the cravings were out of control and I felt like I could not get out of the carb ditch. I even started seeing a counselor at my church and I thought maybe I just need counseling. This will help me get rid of these cravings. And finally I put my foot down. I said, no, Kendall, we're not gonna go backwards. Back to eating carnivore. And it was rough. It was rough getting back into eating carnivore. And about a week of suffering because I always go cold turkey. It's just my personality. I'm very type A, very black and white, all or nothing, which is a good thing as long as it's directed in the right direction. And now being back on carnivore, it's almost been 2 months, but eating 10 months strict carnivore before then, I will never eat. I will never try to moderate because I cannot moderate. I mean, it's just not possible for me. Tried it 1,700 times. I've tried plant-based diets. I've tried standard American diet. I've tried 1,200 calories diet. I've tried starve more, eat less. I've tried work out until you're sick. I've tried grapefruit diets. I've tried everything. The only thing that has ever given me my food freedom, my peace of mind, put my eating disorder into remission has been a carnivore diet. I cannot stop talking about it because it is, like I said, it's literally given me my life back. And now I'm the best I can be for myself and for my children and for my husband, back focused on God. It's just so amazing how an eating disorder and addiction can pull you away from everything. The things that made you you. I mean, I just was a shell of a person when I'm eating ultra-processed food. And I know that that sounds really dramatic, but for me, it's life and death. Because living that way was like death. But living this way, feeding my body properly, nourishing my body with the things that we have been eating for hundreds of thousands of years, meat, eggs, seafood, butter, fat, protein, micro and macronutrients from meat and animal products, is the best I've ever felt. This is how I am supposed to be eating. Now, not everyone has to eat a carnivore diet. My kids don't, my husband doesn't. My husband eats a standard American diet when he goes out with friends, or, if we go out to eat, he eats whatever he wants. But this girl, no. Carnivore for life. At home, we do not have any ultra-processed food. It is a safe space for me. It has to be. For my mental health, for my well-being, for my children, we do not have ultra-processed food in the house. Now, I do not control my kids when they go to birthday parties or to grandparents' house. That's just what works for us. I don't control them. My biggest goal is to provide them with the education, the knowledge, and the foundation of what foods make us feel our best, what foods make our bodies feel good, and what foods we should be eating the majority of the time. And let me tell you, when they experience ultra-processed foods, or they do eat those things, they are rushing right back home and saying, Mom, please can we have burger patties? Can I have some steak? Can I have some scrambled eggs and butter? Because they know those foods make them feel so good. So anyways, you guys, I just wanted to share this with you. I wanted to share my message, and I hope that maybe it will help someone out there who might be struggling with what I struggled with, and maybe a carnivore diet is just the ticket